No way, guys. Is that a full stack of diamonds? I am so lucky, guys. This seed must be so overpowered.
A lot of Minecraft players try to fake their speedruns, but it ends up just being a hilarious mess. So today we're taking a look at the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns. Our first speedrun begins with a spawn in some snow, but he suspiciously finds a chest with full netherite armor. Yeah, there's no way this is real. Anyway, he collects the armor, puts it on, and begins to run in a random direction, which just so happens to lead him to an end portal. Okay, come on now. Once he enters the end, he decides to dig out, and when hit off a pillar, he fails the MLG. So you're telling me this guy died in the speedrun? Not to fear though, he can just respawn. Yeah, this is definitely not allowed. Anyway, after making it back to the end, he dies again and then just cuts off the video. Okay bro, what even was that? Luckily, this next speedrunner has more of a traditional start. So he starts off by running around, proceeding to get some wood, and even collect some stone tools. Okay, wait, why is he changing his game mode to creative? And is that full netherite armor? I guess these speedrunners just never learn. After that, he begins working on his very own end portal. And once in the end, things get even crazier. He just decides to fly around using his creative mode. Well, let's just hope he kills the ender dragon normally. Well, that didn't work out. Overall, I think it was a pretty funny speedrun, but bro, it was just a bit too obvious. Now, this next speedrun might be one of the funniest I've ever seen. Like the first two, this one starts out pretty normally, and our speedrunner runs to collect some wood, but he decides to break this random block, and guess what happens to be under? A chest with an insane amount of diamonds and iron. Anyway, we can look past it as our speedrunner is making his way over to a village. He even starts to break beds, which seems pretty legit. Now, after the village, our speedrunner decides to dig straight down, and then lands in a room with an underground ruin portal. Okay, wait, is this even possible? With some creative mode shenanigans out of the way, our speedrunner is somehow in the nether, and things get intense when he has to fight some blazes. Oops, yeah, I don't think this guy was supposed to die. Not to fear, because our speedrunner spawns back in and is suddenly in the stronghold. What is going on? After some more searching, he reaches the end portal and is in the end now. I'm so confused. The speedrunner decides to use the bed strategy to kill the ender dragon, and it actually worked, so congrats with that. Just not on any of the other cheating you did in the speedrun. Now, we've been moving pretty fast throughout these speedruns so far, so I think it's time we analyze a full one to see what it's about. This speedrun takes place on mobile, and the run starts off on a bit of a weird note. The speedrunner spawns in basically right next to a village, which seems a little bit suspicious. Now, once he gets to the village, our suspicions are confirmed, as he finds one of the most overpowered chests I've ever seen. This chest has diamond gear, eyes of ender, a ton of arrows. Yeah, this is definitely fake. Anyway, after putting on all of his newly found armor, he decides to build the end portal in the middle of the village. I mean, why couldn't this guy just go to the stronghold like any other speedrunner? Oh wait, it's because this run is fake. Anyway, he finally reaches the end and proceeds to do the exact same thing as the other speedrunners have in the past. Fly around in the end and just kill the ender dragon using creative mode, which seems a little bit unfair. Anyway, it was a pretty entertaining run. Next time, just try to hide the fact that this one is fake a little bit more. Really quickly, before we move on to the next speedrun, if you're enjoying the video so far, please hit that subscribe button. It only takes a few seconds and it helps me out a ton. But anyway, back to the speedruns. So we have looked at some speedruns that were blatantly fake, but what about a speedrun that tried to make it look real but got exposed? This next run begins without showing the proper world generation, which is already a bad sign, and then the runner proceeds to spawn in directly next to a village, meaning he used a set seed for this run. This is evident when he opens up the very first chest and gets diamond armor. Nice try, but you aren't fooling anyone with that set seed world generation. Now, you also aren't doing yourself any favors when a ruined portal is right next to the village. This is getting way too good to be true. Anyway, the speedrunner proceeds to complete the portal using the obsidian he got from the chests, and then he makes his way to the nether on a pretty good pace. Once in the nether, he begins to fight blazes to collect his blaze rods, so I'll give you props for at least trying. Well, maybe I spoke too soon, because after he dies and makes it back to the overworld, well, you can just see what's awaiting him. A chest labeled "A Gift to Speedrunners" is conveniently right next to where he spawns and is his side is a plethora of overpowered gear. At this point, the speedrunner decides to build the end portal out in the open and travel to the end, which is definitely not allowed. Now, once he gets into the end, things get even more wild. This speedrun has something called a quote cheat button, which teleports him to the top of one of the towers automatically, which seems a little bit too overpowered and is definitely not allowed. This guy uses the method of swinging at the dragon with his diamond sword to kill it, which he eventually succeeds at. This speedrun was pretty funny, but it would have been much more believable if he hadn't made it obvious that it was a set seed at the beginning, and maybe like spawning in a speedrunner's gift. Now moving on to the next speedrun, our friend spawns into a desert village, something we haven't seen yet in this video. I actually have a pretty good feeling about this speedrun. This speedrunner seems to be collecting beds and nothing fake has happened yet. He even finds a desert temple near the village, which is lucky but not necessarily fake. Well, maybe I was wrong, because he is about to open a chest and this chest is just insane. I mean, could he make it any more obvious that the speedrun is fake? Look at all the gear in that chest. Now after using his newly found gear, he can make a nether portal and then travel to the nether. But wait, why is he now in a random room with the end portal? What is going on? Anyway, he begins to fill the end portal with the eyes that he needs, but something is going wrong and the portal isn't lighting. And I kid you not, he literally just stops the video right there. I do kind of feel bad for this kid. I mean, he had to set all this up, but he couldn't figure out how to work the end portal. I guess he deserves it though for all the fake stuff he did earlier in the speedrun. Now the next speedrun we're gonna be taking a look at is probably the weirdest of them all, and that is because this speedrunner doesn't try to hide anything that he does. And let me tell you, he does a lot of fake things that don't really make sense. Anyway, the run begins and we're already off to a bad start. In the bottom left corner, you can clearly see a message saying that he set his game mode to survival, implying that before he started recording, he was indeed in creative. Oh, and also, just look at the chat. I mean, he's not trying to hide anything at all. Anyway, he makes it to a desert temple and somehow already has insane gear in his inventory, and he even has 3 potion effects on. Like, bro, the speedrun just started. He then proceeds to enchant all of his armor, which is almost never done in a real speedrun, especially at the slow pace that he's doing it at. Now, after running a few more commands, he finds himself already in the end, and things start to get even weirder. To begin, he starts to fly around and break all of the crystals, then goes down to the center and just starts placing down an absurd amount of TNT, which is honestly completely unnecessary. To top it all off, he gives himself an insane strength effect that can most likely obliterate the dragon. And yeah, the dragon stood no chance against his speedrun cheats. Now technically this run could be considered over, but our speedrunner friend still wants to have some fun. So he just randomly spawns in a wither and tries to fight it. And the cherry on top of this entire speedrun is that even after we saw all of the cheats that he did, he makes sure to change his game mode back to survival before he finishes. I mean, what a great speedrun. But unfortunately, yeah, this speedrun was fake. The next speedrun we're gonna be taking a look at is also super funny, but this time in a different way. That's because this speedrun was made by a young kid who doesn't fully understand the rules of speedrunning. And because of this, the fake parts of this speedrun are incredibly obvious. So the run begins and our speedrunner is already in creative mode, something that disqualifies the speedrun right off the bat. After spawning in, our speedrunner then goes into his inventory and gets all the materials he needs to make an end portal. After making the portal, he jumps in and he is now in the end in under 30 seconds, which has to be a world record. Of course, if he wasn't cheating. The end fight is pretty common for a fake speedrun, as he flies around to break all the crystals and then uses beds to kill the dragon itself, which would be pretty cool if he wasn't in creative mode. Either way, he finally kills the dragon and ends his speedrun without being in survival mode once. Hopefully one day this kid can understand the real rules of speedrunning, but for now, this is pure gold and is extremely funny. Anyway, if you guys like this video and you want to see even more fake speedruns, click on screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.